Coming to you live from Radio Cayman Studio.
For the record.
For the record. Hear from your government officials, independents, and the opposition on issues that matter to you. The record. Engage in an open dialogue between residents and lawmakers.
For the record.
The record. Informative, impartial, insightful.
This is your talk show.
1-800-534-8255. Your calls, your input. This is For the Record. And now, your host, Orit Connor. And now, your host, Orit Connor.
Good morning and welcome to For the Record. Today being Wednesday, is it the 7th day of July? Yes, the 8th is tomorrow. Elections in the UK. 7th day of June 2017. I want to thank you for allowing Radio Cayman and by extension For the Record into your homes, into your vehicles as you traverse the busy roads of the Cayman Islands into your places of work, whether it be an office cubicle or if you're working in the outdoors. For the Record is a show produced by the staff and the management of Radio Cayman, and it is geared towards keeping you abreast of issues as they arise and play out on the local, regional, and international scene. I am your host, Orit Connor, and you're welcome to join me and my co-hosts, Miss Teresa Pitcairn and Dr. Steve McPhail, every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 7:30 a.m. until 9:30 a.m. Our phone lines are always open. There is always someone there waiting to take your calls. It is normally that beautiful radio voice of Miss Susan Watson. You can call us on our toll-free number provided courtesy of Flo. That toll-free number is 1-800-534-8255. You can also call us on 949-8037 and the 949-6990. Of course, if you don't like to talk on the telephone, then email us at fortherecord. That is one word, fortherecord at candw.ky. Dr. Steve McPhail is not with us this morning again, but we're happy to have Miss Teresa Pitcairn in the studio as well. And before I introduce her, I'd first like to take care of a little bit of housekeeping. A name that I'm going to mention to you is familiar to many people here in the Cayman Islands. Goes back to the days of shipping in the Cayman Islands, the Kirk Trader and all of those other ships. Captain Shelby Hides. I am told that he has a birthday today, 89 years young. 89 years young, with 89 years of experience behind him as well. So we want to wish Captain Shelby Hides a very, very happy birthday today, and enjoy this one and as many more as the good Lord sees fit for you to enjoy. 89 years old, Kirk Trader. There are some people who are now in the Cayman Islands whose the fact that they're here has a lot to do with Captain Shelby Hides when he was on board those vessels, as well. People who were engineers, deckhands, and stuff like that. I am told that, Captain Shelby is also a philanthropist in terms of his giving to the communities and stuff like that, things that he does. So if any of you want to call in and, just mention something that you may know about Captain Shelby Hides, please feel free to do that in our first segment. Then we have some sad news, and I'm going to introduce Miss Teresa, one of my co-hosts, and let her talk about that sad news during her introduction as well. Miss Teresa, good morning. Welcome back to For the Record this morning. Really, really sad news in the football community.
Yes, so thank you very much for that very warm introduction, and I'd also like to extend my thank you to the wider listening community, and also thank you for your time and allowing me to contribute to the discussion that we now have on Monday, Wednesdays, and Friday. So yesterday, I don't know if many of us are involved with football here, so many may be familiar with Captain Horace Burrell. He passed yesterday. I had the opportunity to meet him from time to time these past few months and discovered the type of icon this gentleman was. I know that in the arena of sports, now that it's under tremendous scrutiny, that the idea of governance, accountability, and those things now take over in business in general. But he was actually the president of the Jamaica Football Association for 23 years. OC, 23 years. He was known as the founder of the Captain's Bakery, Captain's Aviation Service, and he was also known as a philanthropist in the Jamaican community as well. And of course, he brought the Reggae Boys to football prominence when he got them involved in the FIFA games. So an icon from the community has passed.
Yeah.
About Captain Shelby, you know what I remember about him most?
Okay.
His smile.
Yes.
He had a very
infectious smile.
We use the same words. A very infectious smile, and when he smiled, you actually felt it. He didn't have to hug you or anything. It was just something about it, and you just felt that warmth. And I'd like to just share that as a memory that I have of him. So, yeah.
And all of those stevedores working on the docks and stuff like that, I'm sure that they would have fond memories of him, and I'm sure that he would have many, many stories to tell. We had one particular character in Georgetown, and I won't call his name, but he was famous for dropping his pants. And he used to work on the dock. He used to work on the docks, as well. But he was a real hilarious person. So I'm sure that Captain Shelby would probably have a whole lot of stories in relation to him.
And Dr. Maxfield.
Yes, as well.
Bring
Yeah.
them to life.
Some housekeeping issues. This morning on my way down, I actually saw this accident. It is in the lane heading east, right before you get to the sports jetty, the sports tourist landing. There was a car, it seems, coming out from the entrance, subdivision in there, and it was involved with maybe another or two other vehicles in an accident. So the flow of traffic to the east may be impeded a little bit more. It shouldn't really affect traffic coming west, but then you never know. People are going to slow down just out of curiosity to see what's happening, and that is going to interrupt the flow of traffic. So you may experience some delays heading into town as well as heading out of town in the sports jetty, tourist landing area of this morning. So we want to exercise extreme caution when driving in that area as well. I'm told that we have two callers. Let's go to the phone lines. First caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir. Good morning. The devil is up and early.
Yeah.
Up early.
He never sleeps.
5 o'clock every morning. Good morning, my good friend Teresa.
Good morning.
I'm calling and wish Captain Shelby a happy birthday. And wish you live to see many more.
Yes.
You mentioned the Cook Trader, but it goes back before the R8, the famous R8.
R8, yes. Well, that's before my time.
Yeah, I used to run from here to Tapa and stop in to the Pines. And that's where they had stayed overnight and had a big party there.
Mm-hmm.
My father sailed on it for a while. So that's where Captain Shelby started out on, and he climbed the ladder to become captain. And he trained many Caymanians. He was a good man to work with.
Mm-hmm.
And he does plenty of community work, too. If you need anything, he'll give you some money right down to advice.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I wish him a happy birthday. And at time he slowed down, I could catch him because I'm not too far behind. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Have a blessed day now.
Thank you very much, Mr. Farrington. Yeah, you too as well. Next caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning to both of you.
Good morning, ma'am.
And I would like to wish my Uncle Shelby a happy birthday
Okay.
and hope that he live to see many more birthdays. And as Mr. Ivan rightly said, he started on the Farrington ship called the ADH, which used to run to Tampa. And where the Miramali Road is now, that used to be, say, one of the most active places in West Bay at that time. And that is where they used to land all of the freight for the West Bayers. And his mother's kitchen was actually the warehouse. Okay, and I'll leave you with that.
Thank you very much. And before you go, caller, you still there?
Yes, sir.
I mean, your father played a huge role in the trucking industry in the Cayman Islands, as well. He was a popular figure, amongst Cayman's trucking industry.
Yes, that's correct. And after he retired, we did not go into the business because we went into other professions. And I don't know who want to admit it, but a lot of his work that he had, he turned it over to Lemmy's Trucking.
Okay.
So that helped give them a start, too.
Excellent. Thank you very much, caller. You have a great day. We have one more caller that we can take before we go to our first break. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Yes, good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I would like to say happy birthday to Uncle Shelby. He's a wonderful uncle.
Yes, and any stories that you would like to relate about Captain Shelby? Anything that that comes to mind?
The only thing I can say about Captain Uncle Shelby was I used to get so much licks to Captain that he made peace. He told him, son, I can't beat her no more, I can't kill her. I can give her her own scissors, and I can make, which is his wife, Aunt Jean, give her a claw. And that's the only thing I can say. He made peace in my life. I got a scissors, and I got
So from early, everyone knew where your career was going into the design industry then, from those early days, huh?
They knew it, but they tried to stop it, but not him. He said that his wife made a living off of it, and I could do the same thing. And you see, by my father, born in Cayman, grew up in Jamaica, he wanted me to be a teacher and nurse, but that wasn't my business.
Why don't we tell our listening audience and viewing audience as well, because we have the TV cameras in the studio this morning. Tell them who your father was. Let's give him the name. I didn't do so because I didn't want to identify either you or your sister just now publicly if you didn't do so. But if you want to, tell our audience who your father was.
My father is Lawrence Gilbert, and he was married to, he was the truck man who used to bring all the sand and the gravels. He used to have us out at 4 o'clock in the morning. That's why the children those days didn't get in trouble, because we had to clean the yard. We had to do everything. We was brought up a different way, and he was married to Captain Shelby's sister, which is Vita Hyde. And that I'm her daughter, Reba, and the other one that called was Esme, the lawyer. That's why we called her, the lawyer. Anyway, you guys have a good day.
Okay, you do the same thing. Thank you very much. Enjoy your day as well. And Captain Shelby, today is your day. Enjoy it like you've enjoyed the other 88 that came before this one. We're going to go to a commercial break now. For the Record, we'll be back shortly.
Thank you, O.C. Good morning to you. Good morning to the listening public. It's good to be here again. I'm a little weary, but otherwise I'm fine. Another week of getting a full night rest. Each night I'll be all right.
Yeah, and I would imagine that you need a little break, from all of this for a while, but we'll discuss that one off the air.
once I get the government settled down, then I do hope that we can go on one of those little cycling missions.
Little jaunts. Excellent. We have 3 callers. Let's go to the phone lines. First caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, O.C.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning, and good morning to Mr. Alden. Good morning to Teresa.
Morning.
Good morning, ma'am.
This is Nellie Wells from West Bay. I want to say that Captain Shelby was a good friend of my dad, Mr. Bertley Ebanks, who passed. And it was not one day that Captain Shelby didn't visit my dad after he was working. He would come and he would sit, and he would bring whatever my dad felt like. And I guess the two of them sailed together as seamen when they first started out. So he had a really good relationship with my dad, and he was such a good, compassionate, caring, giving man, that there wasn't anything that he didn't do for our community. I'm sorry I can't visit him today because I had eye surgery yesterday, so things are not looking too well for me today. But I will certainly try and give him a call. And if he's listening, I hope, Captain Shelby, you have a very wonderful day, and I hope to see you soon.
Thanks.
Have a wonderful day.
Thanks, you too. Thanks for those kind compliments to Captain Shelby. Next caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, Mr. O.C.
Good morning, Miss Georgette.
Good morning to our Premier, Mr. Alden.
Good morning, ma'am. How are you?
Good morning to you, Mr. Reeson. This is Georgette Banks. And Captain Shelby, if you're listening, I am calling to wish you a most happy, blessed, and peaceful birthday. I'm 89 too, but in September, if God wants me to see it, I'll be 90. And I knew your mother, I knew all your family. So, God bless you. And Mr. O.C., thanks for giving me this time.
Thank you very much, Miss Georgette. We have a couple more callers. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, Mr. Connor. How are you?
Fine, sir. How are you?
This is Mikey.
Mikey.
Long time I never heard you. I
Oh,
want to wish my uncle Shelby a very happy birthday. And he's my only living relative as an uncle that I have left now. And I want him to live to see many more birthdays. And I hope he enjoyed today. It's a very special day for him. And I'm going to visit him later on in the evening to celebrate his 89th birthday.
excellent, excellent. Thank you very much, Mikey. And I haven't seen you in quite a while, but I trust that you're doing well.
Yeah, for an old man.
Oh, come on now, Mikey, about old man.
I mean, when I get 89, then I say, oh.
Now you're talking.
Yeah, all right, then take care.
Take care, Mikey.
I just want
sure.
to lend my voice to sending birthday greetings to Captain Shelby as well. I didn't realize it was his birthday, but obviously his son Tristan works upstairs there with us, and he's a good guy. And Captain Shelby is a good friend of my father, who, if he lives to see the 20th of August, will be 91.
Wow.
So they've been friends a long, long time. So happy birthday, Captain Shelby.
Okay, we have no more calls, so we're going to turn the mic over to you, Premier, for some little longer introduction than we allowed you earlier. We have about 4 minutes before we go to our news, so I want to give you this opportunity to get the ball rolling.
Well, I think I should just start by saying, expressing my thanks and gratitude to the people of the Cayman Islands for having conducted or having participated in a very honest, fair, and well-organized election process. And it is clear that people have spoken. It is clear that they were not entirely satisfied with the way my previous administration operated, that despite the fact that we did a great many good things, I believe even our opponents would say that, in terms of restoring government finances and getting the economy back on track and a whole range of other things, that the clear message came through that Caymanians generally felt that they had not participated sufficiently in the success that the new order had given, and that Caymanians are clamoring for greater opportunity for employment chances, greater involvement in the economic success of Cayman, and they voted accordingly. I've had the benefit really of putting together a coalition government, which I think is representative really of the majority view of people in these islands. I have 3 CDP members, I have 3 independents, and we have 7 of the progressives. So they certainly didn't reject the progressives. They just said we need a different, we need some other views and perspectives in that government. And I named the cabinet yesterday and named the assignments of portfolios. I think that has generally met with approval, although there will always be some who think you should do things differently. I always tell people you have to play the hand you're dealt, and the people that you have with you are the ones and the only ones that you are able to appoint to these various positions. And so I've done my very best with their involvement and agreement to put ministers in positions, assign them portfolios which I think they are best able to manage with subjects that they have the greatest interest and aptitude and experience. And I believe overall it is a very, very good and solid cabinet.
Okay.
And I'm looking forward to the government getting stuck in.
Now, what we haven't seen or heard yet are the appointment of councillors. Any decision on that, or any idea when we will hear more about those?
Yeah, certainly by the end of the week, I've sorted most of them out, but some of my folk have been overseas, and I didn't want to name some and not name the others. But certainly by the end of the week, I should be in a position to be able to do that.
Okay. What I can do, certainly we have I think I have about 3 minutes left.
That was a long 4 minutes.
Yes, yeah. 2 minutes, Ms. Susan says. I can prep you in terms of some of the questions that we're going to ask later on. We're going to ask probably about the possibility of additional ministerial position, which would require some approval from the UK, some amendments there. Any amendments in relation to councillors? We've heard that members of the opposition in the past pointed out that the way that the whole councillors have been appointed is unconstitutional.
Nonsense.
And we wondered whether or not they would adopt the same principles and appoint councillors if they were to be forming a government, and it seemed as if that they were going to be heading in that direction.
In fact, they were already calling them junior ministers.
Junior ministers, yeah.
So it just depends where you are.
And that's a good point. Would it be more convenient at the end of the day?
Probably, I wouldn't be at
just
all averse to us, because the councillors' provision, which actually contemplates the possibility of councils being appointed
more than one person,
right.
Yes.
I think that the way it's evolved, particularly over the last administration, has worked very, very well. It certainly has prepared people like Minister Hugh and Minister McTaggart for the roles. They're very, very comfortable because they've sat in ministries. And in the case of Minister McTaggart, he actually was the de facto Minister of Health for 3 years, because as Premier, I just simply did not have the time to spend on that ministry. And he sat in the minister's chair. So it's given them a great deal of experience. They sit as temporary ministers when the minister is absent. They have full constitutional authority, both in cabinet and in the House, once they are appointed as temporary ministers. So it is really a good role to learn, essentially how to be a minister and to assist. So I would not be averse at all if we could get agreement on it, that we could make some changes to the Constitution which would actually create the possibility of junior ministers.
Folks, I want to remind you that you're listening to For the Record. I'm your host, Art Connor. My co-host with me this morning, Ms. Teresa Pitcairn, and our guest in the studio this morning is the Honourable Alden McLaughlin, Premier of the Cayman Islands, fresh off his announcement of ministerial responsibilities here in the Cayman Islands. We will talk more about that. We will invite your questions. We ask you to be respectful when we return after the news. So please stay tuned. For the Record, we'll be back shortly. Good morning. Welcome back to For the Record. I'm your host, Stuart Connor. My co-host with me, Ms. Teresa Pitcairn. Dr. Steve McField is not with us this morning, and we have in the studio with us none other than the Honourable Alden McLaughlin, Premier of the Cayman Islands. Someone has asked me, we have one caller, we will be with that call in a second. Please announce on air, if you have time, happy birthday to Captain Shelby from the captain and crew of the tug San Key. So, Captain Shelby, the crew of the tug San Key, wishes you a happy birthday also. And then also from your relatives, Mello, Vicky, and Virgil, they're sending you happy birthday as well. Getting ready to go to work, so they're unable to call in. We have 3 callers, so let's go straight to the phone lines. Callers, what I will ask you to do there's no need for you to call out individually each person in the studio. If you just say, good morning to you and your guests or whatever, that's fine. That will help us to save some time and as a result give you more time to talk as well. First caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Yes, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Morning.
Yes, O.C., how are you?
Fine, sir.
I want to say good morning to the Honorable Ali McLaughlin.
Good morning, sir.
Yes, and good morning to Miss Teresa.
Hi, good morning.
Yes, O.C., I too want to remember Captain Shelby. He is a real nice gentleman,
Mm-hmm.
And, we had the bakery on Mary Street, right?
Right.
Okay, my father got me a little American bicycle. And as you know, the Marins and the Pantons, when Starshwood sold the Rallies
and the Rudges. Yes, yeah. Mm-hmm.
But I had this American bicycle, and I needed a tire and a tube for it. And Captain Shelby was the guy that really made sure. I was about 7 or 8 years old them times there, and he got it on one of his trips to Tampa. And I really want to say a big happy birthday to Captain Shelby this morning,
Okay.
Okay, on another note...
Very quickly, because we have people queued up, so...
I know that, man, but I will have got a minute now, we'll see. Come on now. Come on. And this is the first time that the Honorable Ali McLaughlin been on the radio.
Okay, let's get your question.
Okay, to the Honorable, I've tried over and over to get some kind of communication or dialogue between some government official up here. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to do so yet. I am putting this to you that I have a piece of property in front of the bakery in Cayman that the police have used for over 12, 13 years, okay? So I have a bill of $87,600. I'm wondering how can you accommodate me in getting this from your government? Because really, the government have really used that property for the last 12, 13 years, and I really need some compensation for it. And your quick response after I hang up, sort of briefing me on what you intend to do would be greatly appreciated.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you,
have
caller.
have a nice day.
You too. Next caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, O.C., and good morning to your guests.
Morning. How are you?
Good morning.
Good. My question is, my thing is to Mr. McLaughlin. I don't know if he can help me in this situation, but morning, Mr. McLaughlin.
Morning, sir.
My name is Peter Thompson.
I picked up the voice. Don't matter.
I have a little situation. I hate to call you, but I can't seem to get nothing resolved. I have a little situation with my House Walkers Road with my boundaries, and I went into the Lands and Survey, and I spoke to Philip White and Miss Williams, and they promised me they could call me back to try to get the problem resolved. This has been going on since February, and I cannot get them people to call me back and let me know exactly where it is. So I'm begging you this morning if you could look into this matter and see if you can help me get this problem solved.
Peter,
Thank you very much, sir.
Peter, hang on. Peter, would you take my number and call me after the show so I can understand the situation a little better, and I'll see what I can do. 916-3153.
916-31?
53, yeah, 3153. Okay?
Okay, Mr. McLaughlin.
All right,
I'll call you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, caller. Next caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, Jose and your guest.
Morning, sir.
Good morning.
This is John Douglas, the president of the Seafarers Association.
How you doing, John?
Fine.
Good.
Honorable Alden, I'm calling you this morning for one reason, and that is I just spoke with the Honorable Dwayne
Seymour,
and he told me that I should also call you, and you were on the radio. Anyway, everybody knows that what the seafarers did for this island, and I have been trying for I don't know how long now to get some help for the seafarers in regard to this 10% that they have to pay overseas for health. Everybody knows that the seafarers, most of them are old people. They're not working. When they come back from overseas with their 10% of the bill, they can't pay it. So they have to come to the seafarers and get us to help pay the 10%. Why is it that we are the only people on the island that have to pay this 10%? Why are we only getting 90% of our overseas coverage paid? I think we should be getting 100% paid overseas, the same as we're getting locally. Mm-hmm. And I am appealing to you, begging you to help us in any way you can. I spoke to the Honorable McKeever, and he said he is going to help us out as much as he can with the ex gratia payments. But I think the health part of it is even more important. But we will be glad for anything we can get on those two subjects.
Okay, thank you very much, caller. Please
John,
listen.
John, just let me say this.
Sure.
I am, for my sins, I now have the Ministry of Community Affairs, which this falls under. So I am more than happy to sit down with you or the executive of the Seafarers Association to talk about this and see where we get to.
Thank you so much. Can I have your number so I can call you?
916
916
3153.
3153.
If I don't answer the phone, which is quite possible because it rings regularly, just send me a WhatsApp or a text that is you and I'll call you back.
Okay, I don't know about WhatsApp and I hardly know about text. And thank you so much, and I wish you all the best in this the situation that you're in with the government. I hope you get it running how you want and be successful. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your good wishes. All the best.
Thank you very much, caller. We have another caller. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning, LC.
Morning, sir.
Honorable Mr. McLaughlin.
Yeah.
Good morning,
and
sir.
Mr. Teresa.
Morning.
Have you put yourself in a hot seat this time?
Which one of us?
Mr. McLaughlin. You know who I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about. You are in the hot seat.
I'm used to the hot seat by now, though, my friend.
I know that, but anyway, one thing first, I must ask you: are you really, really going to introduce the district council?
Absolutely.
District.
Absolutely.
You are.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much, sir. I got congratulations anyway for getting back in your leadership of the country.
Thank you, sir.
You say you're in the human resources, your portfolio or your ministry.
Yeah,
going to deal with human resources.
Right. But what we've done is what was previously called employment, or before that labor, because we are now proposing to bring the work permit application part of immigration within this new ministry. I've renamed the Ministry Human Resources because it's going to deal with all employment in the islands, whether it is people who have applied for permits or for local people who have employment issues.
Right, but you're taking it away from the immigration department.
Yeah, we're carving that bit off from immigration. Yes.
Which would make the decision who to hire in this country, who needs, or actually what company really needs.
Yeah, but this new body will deal with the whole work permit application process. Yes.
The whole thing. What about training and certain people and further training, further education? What part
that's going to stay under education.
Ooh, see, that's the problem I always have with the government.
Yeah, but I mean, we've looked at this and we've various governments have tried this, that, and the other, but it's really very difficult to deal with the employment function and the issues that arise through employment, along with education components, because it's become so big. So what there needs to be is a proper interministerial relationship, so that there is obviously these two ministries have to work together. But I believe the education and training function needs to stay properly on the education.
Do you realize, Mr. McLaughlin, that 75% of Caymanians do not have a degree? That is ridiculous.
I don't know what I don't know what I don't know what the numbers I don't know what the numbers are.
Well, I've been hearing that kicking around.
Yeah, well, I don't like to kick around
place.
things because people make up a whole lot of things. What I will say is that, and in answer not just to what you said, but what some of the dire things I've seen written in the media, is I don't think there's any. I know there is no other community in the world of 30,000 people, because, to be generous, I think that's probably the maximum number of Caymanians there are, that has produced as many people with degrees as we have, as many doctors, lawyers, accountants, not to mention the other various degrees. I think we've done incredibly well as a community. Where we've struggled and where we continue to struggle is those people who don't go off and get those kinds of qualifications. We haven't catered well enough to them in terms of the vocational training programs. But I think overall, in terms of educational achievement, Cayman has done better than just about anywhere else in the world. If you think about the number of Caymanians there are and the number of us who have gone off and got degrees. So I don't buy into this negative talk that I have heard around for years and years and years. When I look at the sheer number of Caymanians who have university degrees and qualifications and who have done and are doing very well, there is no community in the world I am ready to wager that has done as well as we have. And when you think that my generation, Teresa's generation, was really the first generation of Caymanians that had general access to tertiary education. Before that, our parents, only the very wealthy were able to send, and there weren't that many in Cayman who were able to send their children off to school anywhere else. So, all of this has happened in the last 40 years. So, we have to bear all of those things in mind. And I don't, as I say, I don't share the general and negative view about how poorly we have performed academically or educationally in Cayman. And obviously, there's much room for improvement, but I don't buy into all of the negative stuff.
Okay. Caller, we're going to ask you to leave us there. We have to go to a break now. When we return, we will continue our conversation with the Honorable Alden McLaughlin, Premier of the Cayman Islands, so please stay tuned. Morning. Welcome back to For the Record. In the studio with me this morning, the Honorable Alden McLaughlin, Premier of the Cayman Islands, my co-host, Ms. Teresa Pitcairn. I'm going to pass the mic over to Ms. Teresa now.
So, I know him as Alden, and I hear you chewing up his name as Alden. I mean, for real.
We're still in constitutional negotiations.
So for those of us that are not like OC, who have skewed hearing, I would like to welcome again the Honorable Alden McLaughlin, who I've known for quite some time. And thank you very much for joining us this morning.
Don't be ashamed about it.
With the Alden?
No, about... You've been known for some time.
Stop. Moving right along. Move. Because I heard him try to say, when they were talking about education, he made mention to himself and then called my name up. And so we're moving right along. So, yeah. But thanks very much again for joining us. And segueing right into some of the comments that you made when you joined us originally. At the top of the show, you mentioned that there was some dissatisfaction with the way in which the previous administration managed certain matters. And one of them was the whole idea of employing Caymanians. And one of the callers just spoke to in the context of the seafaring experience, about what do we do with the elderly who don't have access to income or the kind of income that they need given the cost of living in the community today. So I am just going to throw that out there to see how you think, and I know you really haven't had an opportunity to really sit back and reflect perhaps in a meaningful way because of the way in which the configuration with developing a new administration came about. And I was listening to you talking a little bit about what time you get to bed, and you haven't really had an opportunity to sleep as well as one would like to. So you don't necessarily want to talk about the first 100 days because of, this is really a continuation of what has transpired. How do you view the kind of change in mindset that you now have with the current administration in terms of addressing the Caymanian concerns with respect to employment, fair employment opportunities, and so on? And I know that's a little tough. But
No, it's not
you know,
tough at
I'm gonna
all.
just jump right into
No,
it.
it's not tough at all. It's a question I really welcome, and a subject I really welcome. As I've said many times particularly over the course of the last few months as we went through the campaign, when we took office in 2013, the Cayman Islands was not in a very good place in terms of either employment or the state of government finances or a whole range of things. So our first term, in large part, was about restoring government finances, getting out from under the control of the United Kingdom government with respect to our budget and what we could spend money on and how much we could spend, and getting the economy moving again so that people had greater economic and employment opportunities and government revenues increased significantly. We are at that place now. We are in a very enviable place financially, and the economy is moving very well. Because we are in that place, we are now, I believe, able to make some key decisions which were very difficult to make at a time when the economy was struggling. Because to put pressure on employers when you're trying to get them to employ more people, you're trying to get them to invest, and you're trying to restore their confidence in the economy in the Cayman Islands generally, it's a very difficult thing. But there is no question now that the economy is very strong, very strong, that there are a great deal of economic and employment opportunities. Evidence, there are 25,000 people on work permit. Although we have, or let me not say we have, although unemployment has reduced from 10.5% in December of 2012, just prior to us taking office in May of 2013 last time round, to about 6.1% now. There are still a significant number of Caymanians who are unemployed, who wish to be employed, who are able to be employed. And as well, there is a significant amount of what I think people call underemployment. That is Caymanians working in jobs below where their experience and aptitude would allow them to be otherwise. Mm-hmm. And so these are the significant issues that we have to address. I've said before, and you might remember, I had a battle with the Chamber of Commerce a couple of years ago over this particular issue. There's no question in my mind, because enough business people have said so to me, and the evidence is there, is that the attitude of many employers to Caymanian employment has changed significantly since the recession in 2008-2009. Prior to that, it was sort of acknowledged that the quid pro quo for work permits was that you would take Caymanians on, even if they didn't have the requisite experience and training, and you would make an effort to train them up so that they could take the job. What we have seen over the course of the last few years, 8-9 years, is a greater reluctance on the part of employers to give Caymanians that chance, that opportunity, and a much greater propensity to apply for a work permit. And that is an attitude that really has to change.
How do you propose to change that?
Well, I think we have to have some honest conversations, really honest conversations about this with the business community. But also the attitude to the granting of work permits has got to change as well. And our proposal to move the whole work permit application process within what would have been before the Employment or Labour Ministry in terms of oversight, so that everything is together. Mm-hmm. And the determination to have the data necessary to make these determinations about whether or not a work permit ought to be granted or not, whether there really is a Caymanian or Caymanians out there who could do the job, is going to be key to making this happen. I mean, one of the great ironies of the situation, and it's left me shaking my head for years, but we have to fix it, is that while we have a great deal of data on how many lawyers or accountants or laborers or carpenters or whatever they are on work permit, and we can access that fairly quickly, we can't tell you in this country how many Caymanian, well, the lawyers I suppose we can because they're on the roll, but that's not a good example, but how many carpenters or masons or bank managers or bank executives or whatever the case is, they are in our workforce. because we don't have that data in a convenient place. But the data is out there, because right now, and for some years now, every person who is lawfully employed is supposed to be part of a pension scheme unless they are a domestic. So the data is there. It's a question of putting in place the systems so that we can have easy access to that data to be able to make these determinations about how many Caymanians there are in a particular field available in the workforce.
And do you see this being put on fast track in terms of getting putting yourself in a capable position of determining that?
Yes, this is one of the key initiatives of this administration. It is one of the most powerful messages that has been sent to us who have been elected, right? Because Caymanians essentially said, yes, you've done a great job in terms of turning the economy around and restoring government finances, but really we have not benefited enough from that.
Yeah.
And I've been around this business long enough, and this is whether I want to or not, this is my last term as Premier. The Constitution makes that very clear. Precisely. And it's a constitutional provision which I insisted on going in. You might remember.
Yes.
So I'm fully in favor of it. And I am determined that part of my legacy that I can be remembered for is having led this particular initiative to a successful conclusion.
Excellent. We have two callers. They've been holding on for quite a while. Let's see if we can take them both before we go to our commercial break. First caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning to you. Good morning.
Good morning, ma'am.
Susan is just the person for the job. She let me know that I wasn't being forgotten on this end.
Great.
So, good morning to you. It's nice to hear from the Premier, and I'm wishing you every success. I think you're the man for the job. That goes without saying. But just let me say that while we speak a lot and everyone has an interest in the economic side of things, and that's definitely something that should not be overlooked. I also want to remind you, sir, that there are things that are happening in Cayman right now that many of not just our older people, but even some of our younger people are becoming concerned, especially those who are parents. Now, I will say this, that I must congratulate the Progressives for having taken the step to reduce the Pirates Week celebrations from 7 days, I think it is, to 2 days. I also hope that something will be done.
Ms. Daphne, that wasn't our doing at all. So
okay.
I can't take credit or debit, whatever the case may be, for that.
Okay, all right, fine. But anyway, certainly in West Bay, it had become a dead issue almost. There was very little interest being shown in it. But having said that, we have a situation where even our children in school have begun to think, and I don't know why parents have not.
Caller, need you to get to either the question or the point, please.
Thank you very much. My main concern is that I think, based on all the photographs, all the comments, all of the the backlash regarding Batamanu, it is not a Cayman. It's not something that we have. This is not in our culture. It has relayed to not only Caymanians but to visitors a very negative picture of who we are, and I believe that something needs to be looked into. I am sure, sir, that somehow or the other you are aware of what takes place on the roads of our islands, and it is definitely not good for our children, particularly when you also have, we also see this thing about a junior Batamanu, which is just a place of training to bring us into the other. Something has to be done. God is not pleased with it. It is deeply immoral. It is absolutely. I had a photo sent to me the other day, and I don't like to be so brazen and perhaps so brash about anything. But the only thing I looked at and I thought, oh my goodness, this looks like you have come up upon the scene of two dogs mating, and it was almost as if I wanted to throw up.
Caller, we're going to ask you to leave us there. We have to be respectful for the other callers that are on line as well. Next caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Yeah, this is Sammy Jackson, Cayman. Good morning to all in your studio, OT.
Morning, Mr. Sammy.
Especially to the Honorable Alden McLaughlin, who I knew from the time he was a toddler, 2 years old.
Yes, sir. Good to hear from you, Mr. Sammy. How Miss Gay?
She's fine, thanks.
Good.
And I want to say congratulations to your second term as Premier.
Thank you, sir. Really appreciate
And
it.
I would like to take this opportunity to wish Captain Shelby Hyde a happy birthday. I was on the Kirk Trader back in '62 on my way to Cayman with my wife when we ran ashore at the airport in Cayman.
Ran ashore
It was the first time I went on a ship and had to get off at the airport. Anyway, congrats to everyone, and God bless you all.
Thank you, Mr. Sammy.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sammy. We're going to go to a break now in anticipation of that break. And in a return from that break, one question is, does the Premier think Marco Archer would take the Auditor General's job? We can then discuss the potentials that are out there for the former Finance Minister, Mr. Marco Archer. Please stay tuned For the Record. We'll be back with the Premier of the Cayman Islands, Mr. Alden McLaughlin, and Ms. Teresa Pitcairn shortly. Good morning and welcome back to For the Record. In the studio with me this morning, my co-host, Ms. Teresa Pitcairn, and the Premier of the Cayman Islands, the Honorable Alden McLaughlin. We mentioned the message that we got in relation to the possible role of former Finance Minister, Mr. Marco Archer, as the Auditor General. But before we get into that question, there have been many comments during the campaign, after the election results as well, and more so after Minister Archer's loss in Georgetown Central, people saying that he was used as the sacrificial lamb in that particular constituency to go up against his opponent there. I'd like you, for the benefit of our listening and viewing audience, Mr. Premier, tell us about the selection process within your progressive movement in terms of how it is determined where a candidate would run. And I've always pointed out to them that when it comes to the Premier, that you always ensure that you're the leader of your party. To get elected, you put the leader in a safe seat, because without a leader of the party, then the possibility are much less in terms of the ability to form a government.
Well, all that may be true, but that certainly was not the basis for Marco running in Central. Or it wasn't about giving me a safe seat at all. Without wanting to go into too much details about how we do these things, essentially the pre-election survey that we did showed that Marco Archer would beat any candidate, and we listed every possible candidate we could think of in any constituency in Georgetown, hands down. Right. The survey also showed that we had the progressives had the possibility to win all 7 seats in Georgetown, all 7. Not that we would, but that we could, because we are still, and the results have shown that we're still the most popular grouping in Georgetown, without question. And so our strategy, with which Marco, was fully in agreement. I couldn't coerce, nor did I try to. Marco go run anywhere. Anyone who knows Marco Archer knows he has his own mind, right? And in fact, at the time when it was decided that he would run in Central, we didn't have our full slate of candidates at all. David White and Barbara Connolly came on as candidates very late in the overall game. So Marco had a choice, I had a choice of where else we would run, except Central. So as I say, the decision was taken on the basis that he has clearly the strongest candidate we had, running against what appeared to be the strongest contender in any constituency in Georgetown, because Kenneth had 18 months, an 18-month campaign that with him running in Central, we had a chance of winning all 7 seats. The objective was to win the government. And so winning the government means you have to get at least 10 seats. And so we knew we had challenges elsewhere. And so, that was one of those strategic decisions that we took. Obviously, it didn't, things happen over the course of a campaign. One of the things that is that I had been targeted because I was presumed to be the candidate for Central. I had been targeted by Kenneth and his team, repeatedly, both the smear campaign on the ground as well as publicly on the radio shows and so forth, for all of this time. And Marco hadn't gotten any of that. In fact, they'd been saying good things about him. But as soon as he was nominated, the gun swung away from me and onto him. And that's when he started absorbing, damage. But in the end, it came down to 18 votes, because although Kenneth had 35 votes more than him, if you think about it, had 18 more people of that 35 voted for Marco.
Yes.
Kenneth only got the other 17. So it's an 18 vote loss, which anyone who knows anything about election campaigns means it's an election day loss. Significant numbers of people who we knew would, because of our canvassing exercise, would vote for Marco, simply did not turn out to vote on election day. And as I said before, by such slim margins in a democracy, our elections won and lost. I think it's a huge loss for Cayman, huge loss for Cayman. And Marco is a man of very, very strong faith, and I'm still amazed at how he has accepted the result. But I'm certain that there are other roles, significant roles for Marco to play in continuing to serve his country over this next 4 years. He wants some time away, to reflect on these things, and obviously with the summer coming up, to spend some time with his children and family. But I am hopeful, and I won't say anymore, I'm hopeful that after the summer that he will be willing, and we will find a way to make him be able to continue to contribute to his government, his country, and his people.
Excellent. Ms. Susan, do we have time for one call before we go to the break? We have time for one call before we go to headline news. We're going to ask the caller to be as brief as possible. Good morning. Welcome to For the Record, caller. Good morning, caller. Welcome to For the Record. You may want to turn your radio down.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, good morning again. Good morning, Mr. Alden.
Good morning, sir.
Well, I'm kind of happy to report that I'm picking up on what you're saying very positively. For example, coming forward from the very beginning and doing the kind of idea leadership that I've been stressing that this country seriously needs. Because sometimes we have too many bureaucratic politicians and not enough people that are involved in the interaction of ideas and interacting with the people on an idea level. So I'm happy to see this happening right away. So I would also like to take this opportunity to congratulate you as having been one of my opponents in Red Bay for your victory. I think you worked very hard, and I think you deserve the success because of the level of dedication which you also personally put into this particular community. I'm not trying to praise you up because I don't want something. I'm also offering my services in whatever way they might be seen to be necessary. I know you also realize that we have a lot of challenges in our communities, and I'm here and willing to work along with you or anyone else. But I'm also making sure that people understand that when I'm bigging you up for the ideal leadership, that I have intensely thought about the need for that in the Cayman Islands. And I'm really happy that you have stepped forward saying, I'm going to lead from the point of view of ideas. That will obviously bring people much closer together in terms of agreeing on certain diverse positions in the society, and that is very important for the social and economic base. So thank you and congratulations again.
Thank you very
Thank
much,
you, Doc.
Doc. Thank
Really
you very
appreciate
much. Folks, we're going to go to headline news now. When we return, we have a few callers on hold still. We will take those calls, and our conversation with the Honourable Alden McLaughlin, Premier of the Cayman Islands, will continue. Please stay tuned. Good morning. Welcome back to For the Record. I understand that one caller has rejoined us, so we're going to take that caller again. Caller, good morning. Welcome back to For the Record.
Good morning again.
Good morning, sir.
Hello?
Yeah, go right ahead.
Morning.
Yeah, you guys shot me down with what I brought forward, but it's okay. You know, it's me saying it, so I know you wouldn't accept it. But the thing about that is...
What was that, sir?
The thing about training... the lack of education in the country.
Oh, no, I wasn't shooting you down. I was giving you my perspective.
The negative, whatever going around the country. But it is not negative, Mr. McLaughlin. I walk, I meet these people all over the walks of life, different walks of life, and they're complaining to me that they're not highly educated to get higher paid jobs. Now, I want to know what you're going to do about that to help educate them. Will you, not you again, because you're going to send me to the education department, we need to set up an adult education, something similar like what Jamaica did in the 70s. Can't remember the word they call that one over there, but it was to combat illiteracy. We have to start that. We have to set up something in the country because it's no joke. I mean, it's no
yeah, adult. I think, and you're talking about an adult literacy program kind of thing.
Correct.
Right. No, I'm not knocking. I'm not knocking that at all. I think it's an excellent idea. The great challenge with those things always is getting adults to participate in it, because there's certain stigmas that are associated with it. So I mean, I've looked at this before when I was education minister, and I don't disagree at all. In fact, I think many people in our community, many Caymanians, would benefit from those kinds of programs. The great challenge is getting the engagement that is necessary.
Well, if I may interject there for a minute, caller, we're going to give you your time. In one of the old Trade Winds newspaper, Teacher McPhail started what we call the night school at down at the secondary modern school, and the uptake for that was so great those days, for training in tourism related courses and stuff like that. So is that similar to what you're talking about, caller? Caller, you there? We've lost him. But there was a huge uptake on that. A related email that I got also, it says, respectfully, I need to ask our Premier when he will implement the jobs he promised to the ex-cons. We have a family to support and deserve a second chance as well. In the past, our Premier McLaughlin mentioned that government will start to offer jobs to ex-cons, and they will be accommodated in the area department depending on their convictions.
Absolutely, we have to press on with that. Contrary to common belief, I'm not actually able to hire anyone as the Premier or the elected member, but we put the policies in place and offer the support and encouragement that is necessary to get these done. Now that we are back, and a big focus of what we're doing is, one of the commitments we've made is 100% Caymanian employment in short order. So that obviously is a component of that. I haven't had a chance yet, been back to work 2 days, today 3 days, to sit down and talk specifically with the officers and the department concerned about that. But I'm glad that the individual has brought it to my attention, because it'll now cause me to put it to the front of my agenda.
Okay, this caller and she's the person says thanking for asking that question. Says I am employed since 2012, and for an error I have made in my life, I have been punished. I am well qualified Caymanian with a bachelor's, a BA in real estate, and I'm really looking, for a job. Miss T, want to pass the mic over to you again. Don't want to leave you out of this conversation at all, and I know you have some very insightful questions to ask yourself.
This morning, I think, especially as time is of the essence, I would like to hear the Premier talk a little bit more about strategies that he may be considering, even if he hasn't, had that opportunity to discuss it with his wider team, about creating, for example, 100% Caymanian employment. And one of the comments that he made was the difficulties or the challenges that one finds themselves with when you're trying to reignite an economy, when you're trying to address some of the concerns from the previous administration, how those things combined made it, a little difficult to address some of the Caymanian unemployment issues. But that seems to be the core. And, if Caymanians don't have jobs, that means they can't secure their homes, which is why we're hearing so much about forfeitures. If Caymanians can't stay in their homes and if they don't have any jobs, and the cost of living being what it is, you're going to have more crime. If you have more crime, crime is going to affect the tourism and service industry, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I guess I personally want to know about the kind of big, the global plan, the overall plan that you may want to strategize to develop these things. You may have one plan, and then you have how you're going to execute that plan in a way that meets this idea of having 100% Caymanian employment.
And if I could add to that, how much of that is going to be influenced by the fact that there is a coalition government, that some of those members of the coalition now had said certain things on their platforms and have certain ideas and goals that they want to reach as well. How do we take that and mesh that into one national policy?
And it must, and I know this, we kind of like bombard you sorry about that. And it has to be something that is coherent and not just immediate, but part two of a larger plan, maybe a 5-year plan. How are you going to deal with that? Because the way I see it, the government perhaps stands in some way at a disadvantage because you have certain monopoly control within the economy, whether it's in the private sector with the Cayman Finance Group, and whether it's in the service industry with, the DART Group. And I'm not necessarily pointing fingers here, but appreciating our realities and also appreciating the kind of challenges that any government may face having to wanting to do this thing. Yeah.
Well, the key thing which is often missed in this is that without a sound economy, an economy which is growing, none of these fixes that we are talking about are possible, right? So we are at that place now where the economy is doing very well. I wouldn't say it's booming. It's probably not at that point, but all indications are the economy is going to continue to grow and to expand, creating more economic and employment opportunities. The challenge for us is making sure that Caymanians are able to benefit fully from those. I think we've made great progress. We've come down from 10.5% unemployment to 6.1%, so we've made significant progress. But obviously, with an economy doing as well as it is, and looking at this the statistics in terms of work permits, you'd say we're in an overemployment situation. We have to find a way to get Caymanians who are willing and able to work into jobs, and those who want better employment than they currently have to have those opportunities as well. So, but that is a much better position to be in than in a position where you're trying to find jobs when there are no jobs available. So we have to do two things. One, we have to make sure that we are skilling the Caymanians who lack these skills. Some often there's soft skills, and that really is the Ready to Work KY program, which we put in place about 2 years, almost 2 years ago now. We need to build on that and the experiences that we've had. It's been quite successful to break down the barriers to employment for Caymanians who have these soft skill deficits or whatever other issues that keep them from getting employment. And we have to alter the attitude of employers to Caymanians, which I spoke about earlier. This is not a big, these are not huge challenges if people are prepared to cooperate, particularly employers are prepared to cooperate. Because if we didn't have the jobs, if the economy wasn't growing, then I can see why we would have major challenges in achieving 100% Caymanian employment.
Because you can't expect them to create
but
the jobs.
the factors are there that allow this to succeed.
But before we had the kind of economy that we had, we didn't have any problems employing Caymanians. Caymanians actually built the industry. When you think of the women that left their children at home to be secretaries and develop the industries, for example, in the financial industry, it was very clear. The concern that and the point that you made about soft skills, Caymanians have the skills, but they're not being employed. And the final thing with respect to finding the employment and making sense of all of this, on Facebook last night, my phone was kind of like crazy. And this morning on the way to work, about this group that has the flight of non-Caymanians in your face, and people are really upset about it because they find it really, really an insult and disrespectful. And how much will these folks be paid? People say, well, I believe, what they're doing is taking advantage of the work permit system. They bring folks in for 6 months because they don't want to pay them for the pensions. They don't want to pay health insurance issues. Cayman Airways hires mostly at least 90% Caymanians, and we do a really, really good job. So it's clear that we have the skill set, and it's clear that there are people who want to work, and then we have these anomalies.
And that's the Southwest one that you're talking about. We have
I
two
didn't
callers.
want to call any names,
We have two callers. We're going to take a quick break. When we return, we're going to go straight to the phone lines to our two callers. I think one has been waiting for about 6 or 7 minutes now, so we want to get to them as quickly as possible. Please stay tuned. For the record, we'll be back shortly. Good morning. Welcome back to For the Record. We're going straight to the phone lines as promised. First caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record. Thanks for being so patient.
Good morning, everybody. Number one from the block.
Morning, number one.
Morning, sir.
Special morning to the lady.
Hi, how are you doing?
I'm trying to live while I die. Alden.
Yes, sir.
Congratulations to you.
Thank you, my friend. Really appreciate it.
And your party, and especially you make sure you keep Moses O'Connell there.
I'm doing my best, sir.
Because if he even try to leave, you tell him no, immigration so you can't escape. Because he's doing a good job for the brat.
That he is.
Okay, sir. Now, I can prove that. And I just want to tell you and yours, keep doing a good job and keep the place going straight. And just make sure Radio Cayman is fully equipped with good stuff to keep it going. We don't want this off the air.
And permanent cameras in the studio.
He can put permanent camera or permanent shooters. No one come in. But I said keep it going. And I said all of you are doing wonderful. And the next thing, tell Mose O'Connell I said thanks. I got the government channel at last.
Okay.
Great. Excellent.
Will do.
But tell him the next job for every one of you is to get that dock fixed, to try get either that freight ship coming in tonight or get a small cruise ship coming the other day.
Thank you very much, number one.
Okay.
No disrespect.
Thank you. All the best. Next caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
I was no disrespect to the mayor, but I was looking a different type of leadership, but eventually it happened differently. I want to find out what are going to be done about the smaller man that is working in the workforce. They have to work so hard, not being noticed, and management continues to abuse the system. That's not only within the private sector, that is going in within government. I think if the small man have to work 8 hours a day and work so hard, being pushed around, and the management is out all day, and getting paid because they can do their own time, fix up their own time. It's like nothing is being done about it. No matter how much writing and reporting you're doing, it's not going anywhere. What is going to be done about that? Who's going to come into government and deal with that? Driving up and down government vehicles all day, abusing it, doing what they feel like doing. What is going to be done about that? When you speak out, you're looked at as a troublemaker, disruptive, and fast and fast or whatever they want to say. It's not your business because you're the small man that you can sit around and see the abuse going on without speaking out. What is going to be done about that?
Okay, caller. Thank you very much. Mr. Premier?
I don't know. Those are management issues. I might be premier, but I can't run businesses, and I certainly can't run the government employment end of it. I mean, if there are abuses going on, then there's a proper process to report them, and they'll be dealt with. If reporting to your immediate supervisor isn't working, then kick it higher up the line, if necessary, all the way to the deputy governor.
Precisely.
But I'm not going to sit here and say I can fix that because I can't.
Now, Mr. Number One from the BRAC raised an issue, and I'm going to ask this question again. Don't want to get into the ins and outs of the negotiating process, but at one point in time, with all of the rumors flying and stuff like that, there was one that brought Minister Kirkconnell as the premier and you going as Speaker of the House. Now that one, when I heard it, I said at least there'll be more time for cycling. But that's one of those scenarios that was laid out there during the negotiation period. Any comments?
No, well, it wasn't laid out to me, so I guess others had decided that besides me.
Okay. Now we heard talk about a delegation meeting with the independents.
Yes.
And that delegation that met with them, that was through authorization by the progressives in terms of their ability to go and talk with them.
Yeah, but the independents then were, because I was in the meeting, but as I was told, there was only Mr. Arden McLean and Mr. Ezra Miller.
Right.
Yes. So, yeah.
Okay.
And they were met with by the Honorable Juliana O'Connor-Connolly and Honorable Moses Kirkconnell on behalf of the Progressives.
Now we have about 9 minutes left, but I again want to give you an opportunity, because I know down at the LA when Dr. Steve McFeel and I were interviewing you, we're not sure whether or not how much of that went live, because I think we may have lost our feed at that point in time. But to give you an opportunity again, I know you've done this in through various medium to address the people of the Cayman Islands and give them some idea of what their expectations should be. But before we do that, I see another question came in. Can you please ask the Honorable Premier, whether his coalition government will finally complete the bypass extension into Frank Sound? Traffic is horrible for those who live in that side of the island, and millions of productive hours are lost each year because of this. So you can include that in your comments as well, sir.
Well, that was one of the things we'd hoped to get done last time round. That is the completion of the East-West Arterial up to the junction with Frank Sound. From Newlands up to Frank Sound, so 10-mile stretch. I think the estimated cost then was about $60 million to do so. Since that, the original proposal was that a private developer would have done it, but government would ultimately have had to pay the overall cost for it. Anyhow, since then, we've had the passage of the National Conservation Law, which has created some, or put in place some additional hurdles to getting through with that as it relates to the wetlands there. So we'll have to look at all of that. But, I mean, government is in a position now where, assuming we decide it is one of the priorities, we would be able to fund it ourselves rather than require a private developer to do it. In any event, the private developer would have wound up costing government more over the longer term. it would just be the case. It would have just been the case the government wouldn't have had to find all the money to do so up front. But it is a key. It is a key issue that we need to address. I can't tell you where it stands now in terms of the national priorities. We have some ongoing projects that we must ensure we complete. The airport, we need to move forward with the cruise port. We need to complete the Linford Pearson bypass, and the Estella Tibbetts one is almost through. The Georgetown revitalization project is still very much alive, and key parts of that are additional roads to be able to effectively bypass the center of Georgetown, so that parts of that can be pedestrianized and make it more amenable to visitors and pedestrian traffic generally. So the call on government for capital expenditure is significant. So we will certainly look at this. We are now into 2-year budgeting, so there'll only be 2 budgets in this term. The first will be presented in November to take effect 1st January 2018, and that'll run through to 2020. And so we will start looking, the coalition government will start looking at these issues over the course of the next few months. But I can't say here now, sitting where I am, that project, that is the extension of the East-West RTL, will definitely be done during this term or not.
We have one more caller from the BRAC. Do you mind if we take that one call? Not from the BRAC? Oh, sorry. One more call.
It doesn't matter where they're from. That's
okay.
We'll take it.
Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Yeah, good morning, O.C., and good morning to all your guests right there.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
And good morning to you, Brother Alden.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, man. Okay, this is Jimmy Wang. And this is Pick Toronto.
Hi, morning.
And I would love to congratulate and wish Captain Shelby a very happy, healthy, prosperous, and spiritual new year. Today is his new year, you see. Trust me now, that I get another year older. And this is coming from Jimmy Banks, Captain Dalton's son.
Okay.
Throwing in a portion here from my father, although he's gone, but I know how him and Captain Shelby was. They was buddies, trust me. And I wish him all the best. And thank you all very much for receiving this call, please. Thank you very much.
Okay. You're welcome. We're going to squeeze 2 more in, but we're going to ask him to be real quick, just like Jimmy was. Caller, good morning. Welcome to For the Record.
Hi, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. Fine. And yourself?
Good. Just a few questions. You can write them down and then, just answer them on your own time if possible, please. The first question is to the Premier is congratulations, I must first say. And the first question is what plans do you have in mind to help homeowners? And my second question is, do you have any...
what
plans for homeowners?
So, yeah, how do you help? But I could you be a little more specific? Help homeowners in what respect?
Like with their mortgages or those who are on the verge of losing their homes. Do you have any kind of plans in mind to, help them at least for the couple months or...
And the second
And the second question is, do you have any plans also to build any more low income houses? And the last question is, and I'll just add to what one caller had said, is in regards to education, building, something for our youth and for our adults as well. I think it's not that these kids don't have the ability, but it's that they just need the extra. You see, like the...
Okay, caller, I'm going to interrupt you there because you've asked your questions. We've taken note of them, but we're trying to accommodate one more caller. So you can then on another show probably call in and explain what you mean in that regard. I think we lost that other caller as well. So, Premier, I'd like you to again continue with your final closing remarks.
Well, I'd like, to the extent that I'm able to try to respond to the questions that the caller asked. we are certainly looking to see what the extent to which foreclosures is still a major issue, and to see what we can do in that regard. Certainly, the work that we've done before the elections demonstrated that most of these places that were in foreclosure, and that these are issues that had arisen from a number of years before, and that there has been a significant fall off in the number of foreclosures in recent years as the economy has picked up. But obviously, if your place is in foreclosure, that's an issue for you. And so we certainly will look to see what we can do on that particular front. Yes, the National Housing Development Trust is going to press ahead with the construction of more affordable homes. The land has been acquired. A lot of that preliminary work was done during the previous administration, and they've certainly got the money in the bank to be able to move ahead fairly swiftly with that. I don't have the specific details of the plan, but those will become known over the course of the next few months.
And which minister that will fall under? Who will be the minister responsible for that?
Minister Dwayne Seymour has housing.
Okay.
Yes. So, and the other question was, I'm not quite sure I understood precisely what she was after. She said we need to build more places for children and adults. So I'm not quite sure what she...
I think she was just addressing the whole idea of adult literacy.
And continuing education.
Okay.
Yes.
And at-risk children.
She used the word build, which I was wondering whether she was talking about
physical structures.
Yeah, physical structure. Because we're certainly pressing ahead with the completion of Georgetown to John Gray High School, and one of our commitments is another primary school in West Bay as part of what we propose to do in terms of physical improvements to the plant over the course of this term.
Okay.
The adult literacy thing is something we talked about already. So I'm conscious of the time.
Excellent. I'm going to squeeze in one more question here because people, they waited until about 9:22, 9:21 to send in questions. And I'm not sure whether or not this falls within your responsibility or you have an answer for it. The requirements of submission of a police record for when applying for a trade and business license.
Yes, well, one of the things that we've committed to, you see, is to cut this whole bureaucratic stuff and red tape by 25% in the first 100 days. There is no question in my mind, and I'm sorry if I can offend some people who are working there, but I think we've gone way overboard. The government has gone way overboard in terms of what they ask for to be able to get something as simple as a trade and business license. Why does the board need to know what your business plan is? That's not in my view, a proper consideration in granting somebody a trade and business license. It is up to them whether their business plan is one that is going to work or not. If it doesn't work, the business will fold. But that ought not to be our concern as a government. So those sorts of things are key things that we are focusing on. And as I said, Minister Joseph Hugh, for his sins, has essentially been given the job to troubleshoot the areas within government where there are constant complaints about the speed of service, the level of service, the quality of service, or over-regulation. And we've tried to identify where those areas are and put them all under one minister and in one ministry so that we can hopefully get some fairly swift forward movement in that regard, because the complaints are legion about certain areas in government, and have been that way for many years. And everybody talks about doing it, but we're gonna do it.
Okay, many people have offered their congratulations, have offered advice, and have also offered their services, whether free or otherwise, to assist this government of national unity in terms of moving forward, being able to deliver on the commitments that you have made. How receptive will this government of national unity be to those persons, whether or not they come from the opposite side of the aisle in terms of addressing and solving some of the issues of this country?
Well, we really don't have many people on the opposite side now because
other than legislators, I'm talking about.
Yeah,
people
what I'm saying, trying to find the right term, not categories, but all the full range. Let me use that expression. The full range of political interests or interest groups is represented in the government now, with 3 from the CDP, 3 independents, and the government.
Yes.
And the progressives. So it is much easier for us to accommodate, the competing interests and views and people who espouse them within a government of national unity. Our great immediate challenge is to settle on an agenda which all of us can support, because it's not just my red book anymore. It's the CDP manifesto, and it's the views of the 3 independents as well. And I have to say there are some independents on the other side who, although they haven't joined the government fully in the sense that they've come over on our side, I'd have to find another seat because all our seats are full. But that call me on a regular basis and say, I want to sit down with you to talk about a range of things. I mean, this foreclosure thing is one where there's one member in particular who has agreed to meet with me to let me know what his views are about that and see what kind of plan we can work out. So anyone who wants to cooperate and to work with the government, I'm certainly more than willing to take them on board. Obviously, we can't hire everybody who is out there, but more than willing to listen to what people have to say and to give them an opportunity to make a contribution. One of the good things of having been around as long as I have now and having had this very rare opportunity to be leader for the second time is I know the system. I know the players in the system. I know what the problems are in the system. And a lot of people might not like this, but I am now very, very impatient with anyone who tells me, oh, we can't do it, or we're going to take 6 months, or we're going to take a year to get it done. I have less than 4 years to go, much less than 4 years to go, because the House is usually dissolved in March. And this is my final run at this, and I am determined to get even more done this term than we did the last term on key issues which affect the quality of life of Caymanians and people in this country.
So you have a lot of political capital that you can burn on this round.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Because I can't be premier again, and I'll just say this quite publicly: I have no desire or intent to serve in another cabinet. If the people of Red Bay and my party feel that I should stay on or would like me to contest another election to be a representative and I can deliver for my party a seat, I would not say that I would not consider that. Not committing to it now, but I wouldn't say I would not consider that. But I have, there's no ability to serve as premier again, and I have no ambition to serve in another cabinet. This is 3 for me. I think by the time I reach the end of this term, should God will that I would have had more than enough of the business of being part of an executive in my country.
Thank you very much. Ms. P, any final thoughts before we close off?
I think what I found very heartening was, and I'll call him Al, that's how I've always referred to him, Al's graciousness. At the very beginning, he didn't come on with the view that, we got everything right the last time. He came on with the view that we're going to try and do things right this time. And I'm going to hold him to it.
As you always do.
Yes.
Thank you for the opportunity to be here. OC, thank you, Teresa, for being here as a co-host.
She's doing a good job.
Yes,
right?
And thanks to the listening public for listening and for calling in with your questions. I hope I have at least gone some way to answer them. For those of you who rang and had specific requests, you have my number, and I'll do my very best to speak to you and see if I can help to resolve the particular issues that you have. Thanks, everyone, and have a wonderful day.
Thank you, Premier. Folks, I want to thank you for allowing Radio Cayman, and by extension, for the record, into your homes, into your vehicles as you traverse the busy roads of the Cayman Islands, into your places of work, whether it be an office cubicle or if you're working in the outdoors. I also want to remind you that we are our brothers and our sisters keepers. There is always someone out there who's less fortunate than we are, and I ask you to extend a helping hand to them. If you can't do that, then I suggest you donate to Worthy Charity, because we always want to consider those who need, not necessarily those who want. I say to you, have a great day. Continue to support your radio station, Radio Cayman. John Sterling, Dwayne Ebanks at 12 noon for Talk Today. Have a great day, and as usual, we ask the good Lord to bless these 3 wonderful, beautiful Cayman Islands.
Informative, impartial, insightful.
This is your talk show.
1-800-534-8255. Your calls, your input. This is For the Record.